What is going on, guys? We are here with another Overprime video. How is everyone doing today? We are doing a little bit of a showcase for my builds, kind of showing you what you need. I know PS5 beta is literally within like 15 hours or so. It's going to be at midnight on the 13th. So this is kind of for those people, but anyone else who also was wondering what my builds are as of September 13th, this is what I personally love to use. These builds are by no means the best builds in the game. They are just what I like to use. So I want to put that out there. I'm not saying these are the must-have go-to builds that you have to use every game. By no means are these the best. These are what I use, what I do well with, what I like to use. There you go. Let's get right into it. I'm going to make this a quick one if we can. Go over pretty much every role. There are some nuances in different characters who like to use different things, but I'm going to give you the generic build and then the builds that I like to use on the characters that are slightly different. Like I said, there might be a couple of different variations for different characters that I don't use or I'm not aware of. But I'm not going to go over in those videos. I do have specific videos on my channel per character usually, so you can see the builds that I use on them at pretty much every game. So yep, let's get right into it. So looking at the builds, we start with ADC. So ADC, ignore everything on this side. I wish I could hide it. Pretty much look to the right here. These are kind of like the build. You can build, if you go into the collection, you go to items, you can actually preset builds, and then you can pull them up in the game in the item menu. So this is my ADC builds. Generally, this is what I like to use. So I'll start with crossbow, and the logic behind this one is Carbonelli crossbow is cheap, it's 2800. But also you win every 1v1. This is the best first item in the game by far. If people go any other item, they're going to lose. Unless you are fighting Revenant. This is still a good first item regardless if you're fighting Revenant or not, but Revenant there's pretty much no counter to him. I mean, you kind of just lose in my opinion. Just play from afar. But yeah, Carbonelli crossbow, first item, pretty much always against every ADC. Works wonders. I mean, you reduce their attack speed. It just, like, that's it. You lower their attack speed. It's really, really good. So, like I said, it's about a 24% reduction. So, basically a whole item. Like, if you get 30 attack speed, if someone else goes a different item, let's say they go, I don't know, lifesteal first, they lose all this attack speed. Or let's say they go merchant jewelry box, which is a popular first item, they lose all that attack speed. So you just outtrade them every single time and you get 70 power. This item is, in my opinion, the best ADC item in the game by far. It's not even close. Always use this. It's just the best in my opinion. There's no reason not to. It's a crime how many people don't use this first item. Anyways, this is the first item I like to use. Second item is going to be Electric Stone. This is just a crit item. This is a rush item. You're just building it because you want to get full build as fast as possible. I actually don't. I think this item is terrible for the most part, but it's a really good rush item because it's so cheap. Always grab this over anything else. Like, don't grab Lifesteal over it. It does, the proc is better probably, or not the anti-heal, I mean. If you do need anti-heal, you might need to grab this, but I don't think it's your job to anti-heal, so don't worry about it. But Electric Stone, second. Third item is going to be the Witch's Vial, which is going to increase your attack speed and nullification, so you're going to be able to shred tanks easier, as well as get 35% attack speed when you crit. The fourth item is going to be the big crit increase, which is in pretty much every MOBA. It just increases your crit damage, and your critical rate, if your critical rate is higher than 40%, which is why you need this first. 20% plus 20% gives you 40. Fifth item is going to be Lifesteal. And then the sixth item is also going to be Lifesteal, so double Lifesteal to keep yourself up. Now, if you need, and then you sell this for either claw or chainsaw. So my personal recommendation would be always go claw, but if there is more than one tank, go chainsaw. Or if the jungler is building tank, so like getting more than one tank, go chainsaw. But you generally don't need chainsaw as an ADC. You'll do so much damage with just 20% nullification. You don't really need the 40%. The health bonus scale up is also pretty strong, but you don't need it. I think it's overkill. Literally just go claw 90% of the time. But again, if the tanks are on you constantly as well, just go chainsaw so you can kill them faster. It's not necessary most of the time. Now, Revenant is a little bit different though. He is built quite different. He instead will build his Cloudstorm first for the movement speed, then he'll go into the Fish for the item block, and then Chainsaw for the tank shred. This is pretty much a universal. You could take out the Chainsaw if there is only squishies for some other high pen item. I don't have it listed here. It doesn't really matter because generally it doesn't matter. You'll just one shot anyways. Then you'll go into your 2 crit, which is going to be your Treasured Sword and your Holy Relic. You could go a third one if you want as your last item, but I actually opt for Battery. just for the one-shot potential. But if you want to do something else, I'm not a Revenant player, so again, this build is just my own personal. You could go for another pen item, you can go for another crit item for 60%. It's up to you. I just say do whatever you want, but I like to go battery last. This is kind of the build that I would like to use. This gives you a major, even if you don't crit, this gives you a major advantage on your 4 shots if you start. I recommend unloading your bullets to the last one. If you know how Revenant works, he has 4 bullets. The last bullet does more damage. So unload the bullet to the last one. This is going to be your last item. And then you can one-shot people if you get a lucky crit, or you'll take away more than half their HP. So there you go. That's my Revenant build. And then these are the consumables that you'll grab at the start. You'll grab the rechargeable ample and this 200 power one. You can also grab another 150 or more potions or monopots. I recommend just sticking with these two. If you really want to double up on potions, you can. I don't know how they stack. I forgot how, but do whatever you want. And the elixirs afterwards, you can only grab 1 elixir. These are permanent buffs that last for 4 minutes until you die, or until you die. Ignore red zone, not worth it. But grab either persistent elixir, pretty much universal in every single character. It's 10% movement speed and 20% damage to structures. And then if you are physical, you're going to grab this warrior elixir, and it also increases your attack speed as well as your power. So this is after your full build. You're going to buy this. It's 500 gold. Make sure to get this when you have 500 gold after you hit full build. But yep, like I said, you're going to sell this, and then you're going to buy something else. You're going to buy one of these two. But this is the build I like to use on ADC. So mages, they're really strong right now. They just generally just need a lot of pen and power. That's pretty much it. Power items are insane. Proc items are insane. Damage is insane. This is the mage build that I'd recommend personally. It would be starting off with a pen item, which would increase your power every time you auto or use a skill. Really good on Shinbi and characters that have high, like Gadget, Shinbi, pretty much any character who can rack it up. But it's also just really good in general. I like to go this always first item, then you go into your next pen item, so you can rush get more 25 pen. Really strong. You get 25 pen, you get 300 health, 65 power. You could also go Vitality Lens, which is going to give you 15 pen and 80 power, but it gives you more pen as well. You could, just include this in here. I didn't put this in here personally just because of the generic build. You want to get your procs online as fast as possible, but this also gives you 300 HP. If you don't want this item and you want to be full glass cannon, go with Vitality Lens instead. You could do triple pen as well, which is what I usually do, but it's up to you how fast you want to get your build online. But this is what I like personally to do. So Bells of Purification into Cultist Blow. Don't kind of ignore the passive. It's the stats. The passive does help quite a bit, but the stats are important too. Like I said, you're getting 300 HP. You don't know how many times I'm like 1 HP in mid. Very important. If I didn't have this item, I'd be dead. So the next item you're going to go is going to be Witch's Shoes. It's going to give you 90 power, 10% CDR, and it's going to give you a proc that does extra damage every 12 seconds, also increasing your movement speed for 1.5 seconds. So very important, just very high damage every 12 seconds. I know that's a long time, but that initial proc for the one-shots is going to matter later on. The next item is going to be Mathematicians. This is going to be another one where you have to use 2 skills. It's on a 3-second cooldown, but you have to hit 2 skills, so it takes like 6 seconds to stack, and then after the third one, you're going to get a giant burst of damage. So it's going to pair really well with something like Boots or whatever, because you get an extra burst of damage after a while. But yep, that's what I like to do personally. I haven't been full build as a mage in forever. There are other options, like I said. This is just what I like to do. The next item is going to be Alchemy Blaster. This is just for tanks. You don't really need this if there's not any tanks or there's one tank in the game. You can kind of ignore this item, but I recommend just building it anyways, just at this point in time, so you can shred them. And then the 6th item is going to be your bunny for the extra increase in magical power. It's always my last item. Like I said, if there's no tanks, build this Gloves of Jealousy. Probably instead, there's other options like Margaret Stone, stuff like that. I just don't have an option. I don't really have the opportunity to sit there and auto. I know this item is really strong, so I've heard. It's really expensive though, as well. It's up to you if you really want to build this or not. I just don't sit there and auto all the time against enemies, and also it uses it on the minions, so you can't just keep autoing minions anymore, so that's unfortunate. Up to you. I haven't been able to experiment with this item too much because I'm never in auto range. Good players won't let you get close, but you can use this in like low, early matches or whatever, like low elo matches or whatever, just so you can get some more damage off. It is really strong, but other than that, this is the build I like to use. Starters are going to be, you're always going to start with the Branch of the World Tree and the consumable. And then at the end of the game, you're going to buy one of these 2 elixirs. This one increases your power by 16 through 50 at max level, as well as mana regen by 30%. for 4 minutes, and this one is going to increase your obviously movement speed by 10% and structure damage. So either or, I recommend getting the caster one, but it's up to you. So there you go. So the next thing is going to be tanks. So tanks, kind of hard to play in this game because the nullification in the game is so high, and there's no big movement penalty. The movement penalty isn't severe enough. Hopefully they change that for ADCs and stuff. But tanks are very important. In my opinion, they're the strongest role on your team by far. They're very, very important. This is a little bit cluttered, but I do kind of play a lot of tanks. This is really, really important as well, because the just general tank build versus the other two we're going to go over, but let's look at the general one. So tank, pretty much your bread and butter is always going to be Zimia's toy. It just gives you extra damage. If you ever played Smite, so the mystical mail, it just does extra damage. It does damage based on who's around you, based on your max health. So the higher level you get, the more health you get, the more damage this does. Very, very, very good. It also increases by 25% for Teons and 100% for monsters. So a really strong item, especially if you're jungling as a tank, which is possible, by the way. Very, very strong item. In my opinion, always grab this. If you're just looking for a general tank build, definitely always grab this. The next item, I always like to go, instead of just going into the next alternative of magical defense, I actually opt to get the 800 health item. This is a crap ton of health. The reason I opt for this instead of just going into straight magical or extra physical is because if there is a good split of magical and physical, you have 1,050 extra HP with Zimia's plus this, and you get your 10% CDR, and out of combat, if you step away for a bit, if for 6 seconds, you get a heal. Very, very strong as a second item. I think a little bit too strong in my opinion, but it also is just good for mitigation. I mean, you just basically could tank 1,000 more, you get 1,000 more damage, put onto you. Really, really good, or 800, I guess. Really, really strong. Really good against mages early because there really is no alternative for them for the health that you get. So I like to do the second instead of just going straight into magical defense. It also helps against the physicals that you're fighting, so they can't just run you over. If they just get like nullification, you just get a lot of HP. And then you also get magical defense next. Fruit of Greed. This increases your magical penetration by 15 and magical defense by 10 for each nearby hero. This can be a lot of damage, but you're not going to really get to see the benefit of it as a tank, but really good just for the defense portion. I mean, if you have like 3 people around you, that's 70 magical defense. So you're always going to get 50 if you're fighting someone. So if this is a 50 magical defense item, essentially, if you're near somebody, which you have to be pretty close to them, but it's really, really strong. So definitely get this. Third, in my opinion, you also have CDR, health, and, penetration. Fourth item is going to be Zinx Claw. Pretty much every build for tank, I always try to get this fourth. This is very important. It reflects damage by 10%, so you get 10% of it reflected at the hero that you're fighting. But it also decreases healing by 40%. It's just really important. It just gives a lot of stats. Really good passive, really strong. Very good against auto attackers and stuff like that because they do such high damage per auto, but you're also decreasing their healing as well. So any effect they're getting from the support, very important, and heal and stuff like that. Very good item, 100% recommend. The fifth item, very important as well, artificial gravity inductor. So I would recommend this fifth if you want, or you can switch it with a magical if the magicals are such an issue. But every time the caster receives damage from an enemy, increases the caster's physical defense by 2 and magical defense by 2. So you basically have a stacking effect. You can stack it up to 10 times. I think it's permanent, if I'm not mistaken. So there's no cooldown. Like there's a cooldown on it, but there's no you have to wait. If you wait 5 seconds, it's not gonna. I'm pretty sure it stays for a while. To my knowledge. Now I have not been full build in forever, so I actually don't know. I haven't used this item in a while, and I always go like high damage tanks because I just like to have fun. But this is definitely something I'd recommend for the general public. Definitely pick this out. Very, very good item. But the stack is reset at max stack. Additionally, increases the caster's physical defense by 20 and magical defense by 20 when you hit max stacks, which is 10, and decreases the nearby enemy's physical power by 40% and attack speed by 40% for 5 seconds. So I don't know how nearby you have to be, but I'm assuming if you're on the carry, this is like just a really good item, or the mage. It's basically like that active that decreases power. It's called Weaken, so built into an item. Really good item. Definitely recommend. Next item is going to be Blacksmith Scissors. This is going to be your last item generally. This just gives 30% tenacity. Tenacity makes it so you're CC'd less. And every time you are CC'd, which I don't know what the CCs count as, there's a lot of different ones. I think it's a stun, slow, knock up. I think they all count, but you do heal 2% of your max health. So if you have like 4,000 HP, you're healing 400 of that HP, which isn't that much especially with anti-heal, but the tenacity is what you're doing getting this item for. So the tenacity is the more important one. Definitely grab it. Now is two other options that I'd recommend aside from blacksmith scissors is going to be Transband. This pairs with your nanomachines to boost the healing by 30%. So you get a 30% increase of the 3%, which I don't know what that is, like 9% or 6%, whatever it is. I don't know, do the math. But yeah, it's a pretty big boost. It does help quite a bit. It also boosts shielding and heal effects, really good on characters like Adele and whatnot. But yep, and then the other option I would recommend is Star's Grace. When you press your ultimate, you basically become CC immune for 1.5 seconds. This also applies to anyone who's around you. So really good on characters who, especially just to pop that ultimate randomly and then just free your ally from control. Very nice. Very good item. It also gives 20% tenacity, 10% CDR, 300 health, 50 magical. Really good stat item. So any of these three work as your last item, but this is generally the first 5 that I would use. This is the generic tank build that I like to go with. Now, like I said, there are different builds, but this is, you know, kind of the universal one for pretty much every tank. It works for anybody, honestly. There are better options for these 3 that I'm going to say down here, as well as other ones like Sev. I know can have high damage, whatever, but like I said, this is always just a good go-to. The consumables you're going to use is going to be rechargeable health ampule, and then you're going to get the sap sacred tree. It's going to be about 400. Like I said, you can grab other stuff, but it's up to you. And then the elixirs you're going to use is going to be the tenacity elixir, which is going to increase your tenacity by 20%. I think the cap is 40. So if you already have scissors, still grab this, but I'm pretty sure the cap is 40. And then also movement speed by 10%. Just grab what you want. You can only grab one of these, like I said, so decide which one you want. I'd recommend tenacity, but yep. So this is the Adele and Greystone build. So these are 2 different characters, Adele and Greystone. Specifically, Adele is the new character for the Overprime game, and Greystone is an old Paragon character. So I recommend this build specifically because they do a lot of damage, but personally, that's just me. I don't know why this is out of order. This is not the order that I put it in. I don't know why it's so whack. Sorry about that. I think the thing is just messing up. But yeah, this is generally... This is generally kind of like what I would do here. So first item is going to be Zimia, as always on these 2. Just you're usually going to be in solo. You could do this in the jungle as well. This file applies to that as well. Always grab Zimias first on these 2 characters, then go into your Marauders. Very, very important item. Every time you basic attack, you take off 0.5 seconds. Really strong item for these 2. Because the way their kit works, Greystone will get a lot of damage, and you also get pretty much a constant auto block off because of this, as well as his ultimate just being basically on a 0-second cooldown. Pretty much universally super strong on Greystone, super strong on Adele, because her shield is always going to be up, her grab is always going to be up, her ability, like, she basically has no cooldowns. It's really nice. And then their ultimates are always up. So definitely grab this second. You don't need to. If you're kind of like scared, don't worry about this item, but this is a very, very strong, powerful item on these 2. Then go into your nanomachines. Very strong item, like I said before. Zinc's Claw, Transband, and then you 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then you finish it off with the Fruit of Greed. I feel like this is a lot of magical, physical, health, magical. You can go another physical if you want, like fish. You can actually include that in there if you really want to, but it's up to you. And then also, you can replace this with scissors if you want the tenacity, or star if you want the tenacity as well. I think Transband isn't a must on Greystone, so you could actually low prioritize this, but yep, it's up to you. Like I said, but 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, or any of these 2 as the remaining. Like I said, up to you what you want to do here. This is pretty much the staple build for Greystone and Adele, though, these 6 items here. So I like to do that personally. And then the next one is Kwang. Kwang, start with fish. This item is insanely OP on him. It's disgusting. If you don't know how Kwang works, he can throw his sword super far, and then he can press right click, and it just does like a proc, and this will proc on it if he has it stacked. Very strong first item on him. I think it's a must-have. He's a warrior, but he operates like a tank, so... But he's a really, really strong tank. So, go fish first. No Zimias on this character, not needed. Then go healing nanomachines, Fruit of Greed, into the Zinc's Claw, into Artificial Gravity Inductor, into Blacksmith Scissors. Pretty much the build I like to use. Now, if you want to replace Blacksmith Scissors with Transband or Star's Grace, like usual, up to you. Star's Grace is actually pretty good on him when he starts to go in, but like I said, it's up to you. Some Blacksmith Scissors is going to just give you more tenacity. So, whichever one you want, it's up to you. Also, Transband to boost the nanomachines. Like I said, all up to you. Support. Oops. The support. Here is the builds that I like to use. So there are 2 different classes of supports. There's the basically Mako, Narbash, Muriel, the ones who apply things to you, and then there's the other supports. Pretty much every other support. I guess in this case it would be Phase, and like any other mage support you'd probably want to use. I think just Phase is the only other reliable one that I'm thinking of right now. Oh, and Decker and Phase. So those are the only. These are basically a Decker and Phase, and the rest is for Mako, Narbash, Muriel. You can use these both builds, or you can use the Mako, Narbash, Muriel build are just for those three, but you can, if you're playing Muriel, you can use the top build if you really want to. Though I do think you should use the bottom build for those characters. Not necessary, but should be. But either build from Muriel is good. But like I said, you can't use three of these items: the shoes, the watch, or that's it. Actually, shoes and watch. I thought there was another one, but you can't use these two on. Yeah, you can't use these two on these characters. So unfortunately, these don't work on Phase or Decker. Phase is a mage, but you can play her as a support as well. So yep. Anyways, Fish, first item, just a lot of damage for Phase or Decker. Really strong starting off. They're very aggressive supports, so you do want Fish first 100% of the time. Go into Nano Machines just for the boost of health. Very large boost of the 200, giving you 1,000 extra HP and 20% CDR from these two items. Then go into the High Priest Constellation. It gives you a cleanse. It also... Wait... Oh, and covers your health based on the magical power that you have. 30% scaling. It's 250 plus 30%. So, you're gonna have a decent amount of magical from this because you already have 40. You get 80 magical, so pretty good. But yep, I definitely want this. Pretty much a must-have. High Priest isn't a must-have, but it's still pretty good, so I'd recommend getting it. And then you go into Star's Grace and Treya's Band. Star's Grace is going to be, if you're Decker, it's not going to matter as much, but if you're Phase, pretty much save your ult for when your carry is getting jumped on. Press it if you need to un-CC them from something, or if you want to un-CC yourself from something. This is going to be really good on Phase. Specifically, definitely grab it. Pretty much a must-have. It's pretty high skill, but definitely use it. Treya's Band just to boost the healing and the shielding effect, whatever. But yep, there you go. That's the support build. And then the Mako, Narbash, Muriel build is going to be Nano Machines first. Now, you can actually switch this with Muriel and Narbash, but this is mandatory on Mako. Definitely go Nano Machines first because he uses his health to heal. So, get it first, please and thank you. And then follow the next 5. Like I said, the hand, really good. This boosts your damage when you apply a shield or a heal onto somebody. So, definitely grab this 100% on Muriel, Mako, and Narbash. It's absolutely mandatory in my opinion. Then go into Mutant Poe, or you can go into Broken Watch. I think you should do that first, by the way. Don't know why that was so far away. I feel like my build got messed up again. Probably this. Okay. But yeah, the Broken Watch, it just basically heals the target by 15% of your magical power, 24 plus 15% of your magical power for 2 seconds when applying a skill. It has a 12-second cooldown, but very strong item. This one has a 15-second cooldown, but again, boosts the power. Very strong item. And then Fish for just some pressure, and then the Miter so you can keep them a little bit safe when standing next to them, which you should be. So this is pretty much it for the builds for support. Very strong builds. Like I said, there are different builds you can use. This is just what I like to do. Consumables, health potion, rechargeable, and then Salve of the Sacred Tree, and then Persistence Elixir or Tenacity Elixir. All right, and the last is going to be jungle. Pretty clear-cut, straightforward. You can use tank jungles, and there are 2 mage junglers. Basically just one. I would not jungle as Countess, but if you want to, whatever. And you can use pretty much any tank in the jungle for the most part. Yeah, I think pretty much any tank in the jungle works, maybe aside from Richter. But for the jungle, these are what I like to do. But specifically there's just Sereth because I made her, and she is different from pretty much every other character in the game, and like she's a crit melee attacker. Definitely do this build on Sereth, but we're going to go over the first build here. So you're going to get some pen, you're going to get power. This item basically increases your power based on how many people are around you. You're not going to be like surrounded at all times, but this is just, you literally get 47 power for attacking somebody. And then you also get some nullification as well. So if you are surrounded by 2 tanks, you get 20% nullification. Very strong item. The thing about this item, and just in general, pen, the way it works in this game, it shreds, like let's say you have 50 armor and you take off 20 of that armor, they now have 30 armor. You're just basically doing a considerable amount more damage to them. So for squishies, you want flat pen. and you want nullification or percent pen, which is this for tanks. Just that's all you have to know. But for the squishies, if there's like a full damage team, you don't actually want chainsaw. So take chainsaw off if there is no tank in the game, or no one building tank. But this is what I like to do. Anyways, so go Molder Spray first, very strong high damage item, then go into Spirit's Fang. It basically gives you another auto attack, or a 25% less effective every 15 seconds for just using an attack, and it doubles up, so it's 75% of your physical power twice. Very strong item. It also increases your movement speed by 10%. Very, very powerful item. This only applies to melee heroes, thank God, but again, very strong item. Superior immunity booster, just gives you a shield to block a skill attack. The shield has cucked me so many times, but you also get 50 power and 15 pen. Cannot stress how important pen is. You get a lot of health, you get a lot of power. Very strong item. Definitely get it third. Fourth, you want to get your Greatsword of the Hurricane for the 50% CDR. Very strong item. You could just go a high pen build, but it's up to you. I like to do this fourth though for the CDR and stuff. Like I said, if you want to just keep going pen, that is up to you. Actually, I'm missing an item here. I knew something was wrong. That was weird. Sorry about that. Don't know why these things are getting messed up. I knew something felt a little bit wrong here. This is the build that I was looking at, by the way. I don't know why that was so screwed up. There we go. That is what the build is supposed to be. Okay, sorry. So the second item is actually going to be Cloud Storm. This boosts your movement speed. I think we went over this for the carries, based on how many times. If you get hit, I believe it's 3 times. It is a 1 second cooldown, but if you get hit 3 times, or if you hit 3 times, this also works for skill attacks. This basically gives you a giant boost in movement speed. I think it's 30% total, or 25% total. So definitely very strong. So you hit 3 times, or you get hit 3 times, you get a giant boost in movement speed. Very, very good on assassins. It also gives you pen and power and CDR. It gives 20% CDR. Very strong second item. Third item, like I said, Spirit's Fang, and then Fish, then Greatsword, and then Shock Energy Battery. So this is generally the build I like to go. Now, if there is more than one tank, if there's 2 tanks, you might want to grab Chainsaw. It's not really that necessary because you have Greatsword. If you want to replace Greatsword or Battery with Chainsaw, decide which one you want to switch out. Maybe Greatsword, but like I said, probably not necessary. Your goal is just to insta-kill the carry. This is the build I think you should do. You could go more power by getting rid of Greatsword and then going for like a high another pen item like the book or something, but I think Greatsword just gives you way more value. It shreds armor, gives you defense, and then also gives you a lot of health and CDR. So very important item. Very good build. Pretty much on Xena, Kalari are the only 2 are going to use this build, but if you want to do like a full damage Grux or Fang Mao or something, going to work for those characters as well. But like I said, pretty much Xena and Kalari, this is what I would do on them. Now, the other build is for Sereth. Sereth, why am I missing an item? Oh, I'm missing Claw. So Sereth is going to use this build. She generally will be built like this. So I always go a little back and forth with what I want on Sereth, but this is generally what I like to do. So in this order, you're going to start with Cloud Storm. It's just like I said, pen, power, movement speed, then Spirit's Fang for the proc. Very strong on Sereth. You can actually proc this from far away with that ranged auto attack that you get, the E ability, or the Q, whatever it is for you guys. Very strong item on her. Definitely must have. Then go into your crit. You can crit on that ranged auto attack thing. So go right into crit on your 3rd and 4th item. You're going to go Witch's Vial right into Treasured Sword of the Kingdom. Then you can go your emergency treatment, or you can go Ossians. Doesn't really matter what order you go in. I just like the attack speed. And then you go your Holy Relic Stone of Ossian. So that's going to give you some crit, lifesteal. You're going to get some lifesteal. This is basically just a high. This is my high carry build. This is the person I use to carry games all the time. This is the build I pretty much have settled on. She's amazing. She's top tier. Just definitely recommend playing her. She's so much fun. But if you want to one-shot squishies nearly, even from afar, yeah, just press your ultimate and then press your E, and you pretty much can insta-kill them if you're ahead. Or it takes like 2 E's. It's disgusting. Her ult lasts like 18 seconds. It's absolutely ridiculous. So yep, this is the Sereth build. It only applies to her. It doesn't apply to anyone else in the game. If you want to use it on someone else, by all means, but this is just her build. But if you want to just have fun with someone else, there you go. This is the build I use. Consumables, rechargeable health potion, this power item, and then I'd recommend getting Warrior Elixir, but if you want, you can get the movement speed one. Just depends on what you're feeling. But yep, that is it. Pretty much it for every build. Like I said, you can switch them around if you want. but for the characters that I like to use, pretty much all characters universally use that kind of build. I'm not going to go into which characters kind of play which roles in this video. Maybe that's a future one, but generally that's what I like to do. So if you guys did enjoy the video, please do leave a like and a sub. Like I said, this is of September 13th, 2023. This is what I'm using. It's definitely gonna change in the future. So I'll update it as I go, like in different videos. So look out for those. But yep, there you go. I hope you guys for the PS5 beta enjoy, have fun. You probably will really like the game if you've been waiting for it. It's in a pretty decent spot, and the itemization is really fun. So I hope you guys enjoy. Have a good one. Bye bye.